So, hello again, and this is second lecture. We are going to now start talking about economics as a subject, as to what this subject means. So, let me start off with one example that right now you all are watching me with your laptop, your mobile phones. I don't know what all you are doing, and there is a possibility that some of you are using some really fancy laptops. But how about using a laptop which costs something like, say, 2 to 3 lakhs of rupees, because it is also a workstation and not just a laptop. And it would have many features and it would be much faster and things like that. And I want to know, why don't you use it? Okay, one more example. That when Ratan Tata takes out a pen from his pocket, the general status symbol for any industrialist is when they take out the pen is supposed to be very expensive. So it can be 10,000 rupees, it can be 15,000 rupees, it can be studded with diamonds, and it can be even 1 lakh of rupees. It can be anything. So if Ratan Tata uses something like this, my question is, ladies and gentlemen, why don't you use it? And of course, I know that you know the answer. My battery is running low, so I have to find the table, which, okay, yeah, I found it. Yeah, so I was saying that they will find that they cannot use anything. They means all these industrialists, that they cannot use anything which is like 10 rupees ka pen. They just cannot. But you usually use only those kind of pens. Why? Why does it happen? And Rashtrapati Bhavan has something like 300 plus rooms, and my and your house would have at the most 2 to 3 bedrooms, or if you are like having a big bungalow, maybe 5 bedrooms, and that's about it. And he has 350. Why? And then you would say, come on, ma'am, it's so simple. Money, money. That is what is the answer. Money, money, money. And that's what I want to tell you. Economics, economics, economics. Economics talks about only those things which has some money value. Okay. So one thing is, there has to be monetary value attached to something for economics to start talking about it. The second thing is that for economics to consider any product, it has to be short in supply. You are not able to do certain things because you don't have enough of money for that. Or India is not able to have so many nuclear power plants because India does not have enough uranium. So everywhere there is a problem of scarcity. Resources are scarce. Now, and then you have to count. You have to count the money that I have to count, whether I want to put my money for buying a 10,000 rupees ka pen, or I want to put my money and get a proper laptop, which is like, say, about 50,000-60,000 rupees or something like that. So I have to count and I have to decide what I want to gain. So this is what economic studies. But does economics study how many times you breathe? Do you count how many times you breathe? Do you know how many times you breathe during the day? You don't know. Okay, fine. If you don't know that, I'm okay with that. Now, can you tell me that how many times you look at the flower and you are admiring it? How does it matter? You don't count. You count only those things for which you have to have resources, for which you have to pay. You do not count the things which are free, which are abundant. So if I was goddess Kali, who had like thousands of hands, then I will get anything that I want from the universe because I have the power. And then I do not need economics. I do not have to make choices that do I go for a diamond studded pen versus a laptop. I will get a laptop, I'll get a diamond studded pen. You ask me and I'll get it. Okay? Because I am goddess Kali. Or similarly, if you are that Aladdin, जिसके पास वो जादुई चिराग था, that magic lamp. So you just do that to the magic lamp, and there a genie comes out and says, "What do you want, my lord?" And the lord says, "Diamond studded pen," and there you get it. Then you don't have to count. Economics does not apply to him, or economics does not apply to goddess Kali. Economics applies only to us. Economics applies only when resources are scarce. Economics applies when you have to pay for something and you have to count it. If resources are abundant, if resources are not paid for, economics does not study them. Okay? So this is the first thing, that you have to have scarce resources. Only then economics will study it. Otherwise, economics is not going to study. Okay, fine. So what are the now? So that is the first characteristic, the most important characteristics of economics. But what are the assumptions that economics makes? And the assumptions that economics makes are something which have been also criticized or made fun of a lot. So economics assumes that every individual is rational. What do I mean by rational? So, for example, you go to a shop and you say कि भैया ये कितने का है? How much does it cost? And the shopkeeper would say that, sir, this is 25 rupees. And he said, no, 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 no. How can you charge me 25 rupees for this? No, no. I pay 100 rupees for this. I can't pay 25 rupees. Would you ever do this? Can this happen? So, individuals are generally rational. They know what to say in what situations, and they would not make stupid choices. Okay? So the first assumption is individuals are rational, which has been questioned many times. But economics is like statistics, it believes in generality. Most of the people would be saying that you are charging me 25 rupees, here are 25 rupees. That's it, right? So this is first principle of economics. All individuals are rational and they are not going to be talking stupidly, or they would not be making choices which sound completely irrational. They would not do so. Okay. So first principle. Second principle. Economics believes that the individuals are all very selfish. Economics does not say that you have to be selfish. It just assumes that we know that people are selfish. So when I go to the market and I'm told that this is what it costs, and I tell him, no, 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 you give it for lesser. I don't care whether that person is making profits or losses. I should be having it at a lesser price. I should get the benefit, and I don't care as far as the other person is concerned. Individuals are selfish, and only when they are selfish they try to maximize their own utility, their own welfare, their own income, their own satisfaction. So maximization of satisfaction comes from this selfish feeling that I want to maximize everything for myself. I want to get the best out of my money. And so that is another assumption of economics. I mean, it basically looks at the behavior of people and it says, I know that people are like this. So I'm just saying that my assumption is people are rational and people are selfish. And they try to maximize from whatever they have. So I have so many resources. How can I best use them to get the maximum benefit for myself? This is what economics does. Okay. So these are the two most basic assumptions of economics. And as I told you, economics works only for those resources which are scarce. Economics does not look at the resources which are unlimited in supply, which you can go and get from anywhere, anytime. Okay. Then there are three basic questions that economics studies, and that also you have to know about. The first question that it studies is called what to produce. Now, what to produce seems like a very stupid question, but every one of us, and when I say every one of us, I mean every nation, has a specialty. So, as far as India is concerned, we can make wonderful handicrafts and wonderful handlooms. That is my comparative advantage. I make this the best. So, what to produce? I will produce these kind of things so that I can export them. Or what will I produce? I will try to produce a lot of food, but I have limited resources. So I have limited resources. So I think first I will produce food and I will give something to the industry and I'll produce some industrial goods. Then in what proportion? Oh my God. So that also I will need to study. So these are the questions that economics deals with. What to produce. Okay. So for example, as far as Hitler was concerned, Hitler's German economy was producing almost all the products. But when he decided that he is going to attack, he shifted almost all resources from the consumer sector to the military sector and said, just produce guns, just produce gunpowder, and forget about other things like, shoes and this and that. I mean, not shoes because shoes are also required by military, but don't produce things which are not going to be needed by war. So this is what to produce. You decide what to produce and then you put your resources to that. Economic studies how to do that. Okay. So first question. Second question, how to produce. So how to produce is a question which is totally once again related with what kind of resources you have. So for example, US, as you know, is a huge nation. It has a huge soil, I mean, a huge land, and the density of population is very low. Compared to that, Japan is a tiny little, very tiny island. It doesn't have much land to talk about. And it has people. So the density of population of Tokyo is one of the highest density of population in the world. So you have a nation which has a huge tract of land and fewer people, and you have a nation which has a very tiny land and enough number of people, and now they have to decide how to produce. Okay, so US would go for the things which can use a lot of land, but which will produce a lot for them from using that land a lot. Japan does not have much land. So Japan would want to produce those things which require the least land. So Japan will be using those technologies which use machines and other things far more. US will use machines, but use machines in such a way which can use a lot of land. So that is where the difference is, how to produce. And as far as India is concerned, India has land, but India has too many people and India does not have money. So when India decides what to cultivate, India would always choose a technology which would use a lot of human labor rather than mechanical labor, because India does not have that much money and labor is so much cheaper. How to produce. Economics studies this. So this is a second very basic problem that economics looks at. Okay. Then the third problem that economics studies is for whom to produce. So okay, you have resources, you don't have that many. Each government has a limited budget. So then, do I want to make something like, say, nice small houses for the people who are staying in slums right now? Or do I want to make a lot of flyovers in the city and not look at the slums at all? Okay. Then, if I give you the example of India, about 60, 70 years ago, most of the people were living in chawls. And that was because the cities were mainly made of the people who were either working in the mills or the people who were dependent on the population that was working on mills, so providing services to those people. This is what the Indian cities were made of. And so the builders used to build only chawls, and the chawls used to be given only on rent. There was no question of ownership houses. Okay? Very few people had those owned bungalows, but very few. As time passed by, we had more and more people who were earning now slightly more. And when the builders started building, they realized that the profits are far more in the 2 bedroom and 3 bedroom apartment complexes. So suddenly, India started having many more 2 and 3 bedroom apartment complexes being built and no chawls being built. And what happened as a result of that is more and more people were forced to stay in slums because they could not afford those houses and they had nowhere else to go. They had to stay in the city because they were working in the city, but they had no house. This is for whom to produce going completely wrong. The course that you are going to be having today is going to be talking mainly about the first two problems, which is what to produce and how to produce, rather than for whom to produce. That is usually taught to you at the master's level in economics, which I don't think you are ever going to reach. So I'm going to stop over here, and Alik is going to now give you the actual definition of economics, and he will be taking up different parts of that definition and explaining to you what that definition means. So first learn that definition of economics from him. And also, if you have any questions about these three things, which is economics works only when there are limited resources, economics has two assumptions: individuals are rational and they are selfish, and three, that what to produce, whom to produce, or how to produce, and for whom to produce. So all of these things also he can revise or he can add something more to it than what I have taught, because I have taught you something which is extremely basic. So with this, we'll end today's lecture, and goodbye. Have a nice day. Bye. It's not ending.